So that will take us to halftime, and we're not going to have our normal halftime where we thank our underwriters. We're going to go right into our interview. So first off, we want to thank Chief Screen Printing for sponsoring our halftime show this week and every week. So first off, Jesse, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I got you.
So welcome to our booth. I appreciate you coming up and spending some time with me.
Of course.
So, first and foremost, let's talk a little bit about Jesse Deglow. So he's the current Indiana West. Now, say it for me, Wesleyan.
Wesleyan.
You know, it's your last name, Deglow.
Yeah.
Is that what made you pick Wesleyan? You know.
What made me pick Indiana Wesleyan was just when I went there, they were first starting out, so obviously I thought that I was going to have a shot at playing. And also the coaching staff is a lot like it is here. Like they are very big on attitude and effort, and they're very big on they play who gives the best effort, and they don't really look at if you're super talented. Like for me, I just been working hard, and if I keep working hard, I'll get that opportunity, and I know I will.
Well, definitely, and we're going to get into kind of Wesleyan more, but you're probably not going to like this first part. But Jesse, he's really an ultimate team guy. But I've got to give you his bona fides. So, as a Firebird, Jesse amassed 2,632 yards. I'm going to repeat that: 2,632 yards. That was on 424 attempts at 6.2 yards per carry. Underutilized a little bit in the passing game. He had 4 catches. He had 49 yards. That's 12.3 yards per catch. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And but you ready for this? 36. Count them. 36 total touchdowns. So, Jesse, what is it like hearing those numbers?
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. It doesn't seem like I did that much. For real, like our offense is our Fairmont offense is like 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards. And we get happy if we accomplish that, but if we get more, it's just extra. So that's really what I focused on when I was out there. But it obviously turned into more, and yeah.
Well, and I mean, it's a testament to your hard work because, to your point, this offense isn't really designed for averaging 6.2 yards per carry, which is what you did for your career. Not one game, for your career, 6.2 yards per carry. And I know you're a team guy. A lot more went into that than just you. So, talk about some of your old teammates and that collaboration that, brought that to, it took, you guys were 1-9 and then back-to-back years of success. So, I mean, talk about that a little bit.
So what really I think happened between our sophomore and our junior year was that our sophomore year we still had some kids on our team that really didn't buy into what Coach Miller was telling us, and the summer before our junior year was really big, and that's when at least on the offensive side of the ball we were together all the time. We were just building that bond off the fields, and then we just carried it onto the field. So I knew I could trust all my linemen. I knew I could trust Braden, to make the right reads and hopefully give me the ball more times than not. But so we had way more people just buying in our junior year, and then as we bought in and as the new kids came in, we kind of set that example for them. So and it's just going to keep going. I believe it's going to keep going.
I think there's some challenges with this very team that is facing the same kind of things that you guys were. We're going to get to Fairmont a little bit more, but I want to talk a little bit more about Indiana Wesleyan. So tell me a little. Whereabouts in Indiana is Wesleyan?
It's in Marion, Indiana. It's kind of in a smaller city. It's in between Indianapolis and Fort Wayne. Okay. Kind of in that area, so northwest. Yeah, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
How are you adjusting to life away from home? Or is just football just running everything right now? Or tell me a little bit about that.
All right. So first of all, there ain't no Chipotle out there, so I kind of miss that. But no, for this year, for me, it's right now I'm the third down back. So they're putting me in on a lot of third and shorts, and I'm on some special teams, and I'm trying to work in more. And like I said, I work hard, and the coaches see that, and I learned that here. So basically, I just learned what Coach Miller taught me here about attitude and effort and carried it over to college, and it's working very well for me.
Well, and so let's talk about your team a little bit. Currently 1-1. Your first week 30-27 overtime loss.
Yep.
Last week you guys got your first victory 23-22. Yep. So my first question is going to be, so is it just a nail biter thing? Fairmont last year, 7 of their 11 games were decided by a TD or less. Is it just something you like to raise the blood pressure?
It's something that I carried with me, I guess. Butler and Missouri Baptist, they're both really tough teams. And right now at Indiana Wesleyan, our offense, we brought in a whole lot of new guys. Whether that be the guys from offense moved to defense last year or some guys that just didn't come back. We have a lot of new freshmen, and we're really young. That's not an excuse, but it's just we need to start gelling. And I believe after we start gelling, it's not going to be any close games.
So you kind of mentioned it with having the opportunity to kind of play right away. But as Wesleyan, are they more established? Are they up and coming? Tell me a little bit about what kind of program they've got going on.
So they had a really good season last year for their inaugural season. They went 7-3, and I think that for some teams this year they're going to come back to try to get us. So I think in some parts we are kind of established as a team to beat this year, but most of all this is the second year in the program, and we're just on the come up. So most people don't really know what we're about, but I believe they will.
So tell me, football-wise, what's the biggest difference? What's the jump from high school to college? I mean, obviously everyone tells you the speed, but what have you noticed, in the biggest jump?
The biggest jump is that, well, first of all, it is way faster. But a lot of those guys are out there. It's not like here where you have a couple guys that go hard and a couple guys that are super talented. Everyone is super talented, and you can't take anyone for granted. And college is the best of the best. Like in high school, you could be the best on your team, and you go there and just be like, "Oh yeah, I'm not that good." So it's playing with a lot of dogs, and it's taught me to grow up a little bit,
Oh, I can understand that. So with school, have you picked a major yet?
Yeah, I'm majoring in business management.
Business management?
I believe, yeah.
What's the future aspirations with that?
Well, I want to get my master's in business administration, so I want to get my MBA, and I believe that for me, business management is something that I want to do because I learned here how to become a leader. And for me, I just want to be that leader to the best of my ability I can after my football career is over, and I want to carry that on into the workforce.
Awesome. What's your favorite class?
My favorite class? Honestly, it's psychology because it's really interesting.
Okay.
It's a gen ed, but it's pretty interesting just learning about how we are as how our thought processes are and why we do what for what reasons.
I'm gonna follow that up with your least favorite. What's your least favorite class?
Research writing.
Tell me why.
Literally, so we got essays a week, 2 essays due a week, and it's just killing me because we gotta research all this different stuff, and we gotta back up our research, and we gotta write 1,000-word essays, and it's crazy. It's keeping me busy for sure.
Now, tell us a little bit about the process during football season. I mean, tutoring. Is there any breaks with classes? What's that process like?
So usually my schedule for the last 3 weeks has been, we have practice from probably 3 to 6 every day, but my classes are Monday, Wednesday, Friday I have 3 classes. Tuesday, Thursday I have 2 classes. And we have to log 10 hours of study tables a week. So usually I go to class, then practice, and then I head straight to the library to just get my study hours in,
Sounds like my schedule. It's getting you ready for the real world. I like it.
For real.
I like it. So, I'll kind of shift back towards some football here, but, so you obviously played a lot here in Fairmont's option offense, comparatively to what you're running now. So before you answer that, let me tell the audience. So your quarterback, Zach Blair, first game, had 43 passing attempts. So for some context, Braden Miller, your good friend, he had 48 your junior year and senior year combined.
Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about that shift and how hard was it to learn?
It is definitely different. Here it's hard-nosed, full speed all the time. You want to get to the line of scrimmage as fast as you can because we're trying to get those 3 yards. But here, I had to learn real quick that it's you got to pace yourself because things open up and you got to make your reads right. So my first week or so there, I was just hitting it hard, and I wasn't really making the right reads. But I learned a lot that you got to slow down a little bit, and it's definitely slowed down but sped up at the same time because of the level of competition. But so I believe that our OC is using Zach Blair in a good way because he's really good, and we got some really good receivers, really big impact players at the receiver position.
So the 2 backs that you're behind are the upperclassmen. What's kind of the path for you?
Okay, so the starter right now, he's a sophomore. Right now we have another sophomore that started last year, and we have a senior that's out with injuries for the year. So that's taught me to grow up real quick because for me, I thought I was just going to go in and get some playing time and just be on special teams, but I'm in the rotation now. So and then the other kid he's from Edgewood. and he's pretty good. Me and him, he's been getting a little more time, but I get in there every now and then, and we just are two different run styles. Like he's like more of a finesse back, I'm more of like a run straight and try to tackle me kind of back.
Yeah, we've got to see that for a few years. I can appreciate that. So tell me a little bit, because as a third down back, are you going to be required to catch more passes, or are they looking more short down? Are they asking you to do more of that?
All right. So the first time they saw me run, it took about 3 to 4 dudes to tackle me. So as soon as they saw that, they said, "Oh," and I'm in on the jumbo formation. They just try to run me inside the tackles as much as they can because they know I'm just going to run physical. They don't really try to use me on any pass plays because they know that with the way I run, I'm going to get yards.
Well, and so actually Barney wanted me to ask you this question, but it's the theory is, and you hear it all the time, but running backs get stronger as the game goes on. Seemed that way with you, obviously, while you were here. Tank, you're seeing that a little bit already.
Right.
What do you contribute to that, or is it just kind of the simple defenders get tired of taking some punishment?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely. I don't know if I get stronger throughout. I definitely get more focused. It's like throughout the game, it's like the more times you try to tackle me, the more times I'm going to try to make you hurt, and it's the more times that if I beat you down, it's going to be easier for me to just run.
So, are you going to be involved with anything other than running back? Are you playing special teams? Are you playing some defense? Anything like special packages, like how you'd run NASCAR here?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was fun. Yeah. I'm on starting punt return, so I'm an edge rusher, so I try to block punts. And then they're using me. I'm getting some rotation in on kickoff too. I had a couple of tackles on kickoff last week.
Okay, so since I mentioned it, why don't you tell our listeners what NASCAR is, and do you know if they still have something like that in their playbook?
I do not know if they still have something like that in their playbook. Basically, NASCAR was I went in and played it, and it was an edge rusher, and I just rushed the quarterback as fast and hard as I could. So that's what they use me for.
Somebody try to get in your way, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So let me ask you about this. So Jordan Langs, your new head coach. What are some similarities between him and Coach Miller? You said that was some of the reason that you went from Fairmont to there.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me, how are they similar?
Coach Langs, he preaches pretty much the same thing as Coach Miller. He's really big on attitude and effort, and he's really big on anything worthwhile is going to be hard. And he definitely makes stuff hard on us, but that's because he loves us. And that's the same way with Coach Miller. Like our practices are insanely hard because if they're hard, then the game's going to be easy. And that's the same thing with Coach Langs. Like we have insanely hard practices and lifts, but it's going to pay off in the end. And he's really good. He loves us, and you can see it's genuine. It's like some coaches, they just like you because you're good or something like that.
Sure.
But you can tell like the way he talks to you, the way he puts effort into talking to individual kids, building relationships off the field as well.
Well, so I want to ask you about some differences between those two, but before we do that, tell me a little bit about your recruiting process, because I know that was special for you and kind of right in line with what you're just talking about.
Right. So my recruiting process. Let's see. After my senior year, I had about 4 to 5 offers. And Indiana Wesleyan was my first a real offer, and that one kind of stuck with me because when I went there, I just could not get it out of my head. Like that's where I wanted to be. And at Springfield for our last playoff game, like right after the game ended, I was bummed. But then my mind went just straight like to next year, like what's next year going to be like for me, And I didn't really want to dwell on that, but I was really looking forward to just as soon as I went there, I kind of knew.
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense. You finish, you're looking for your next step, so I can understand that. So back to the difference, the coaches. What's maybe some differences? Are there differences in philosophy? Just tell me some differences between the two.
All right, some differences between Coach Langs and Coach Miller. Let me see here. Coach Miller is all about that down the throat football offense, and I believe our OC is more of a finesse, and Coach Langs is more of a finesse because he coaches the wide receivers, and I believe that when it comes down to it, he's definitely like that. But I believe Coach Langs, he's not as intense, and I believe that Coach Miller is, and that's kind of the big thing for me because in our pregame speeches, he's just talking to us, And whereas Coach Miller, he would get really, really into it, really, really hype and harped on the same things. And Coach Lang, whereas he's very serious and he gets us really focused and locked in and know what we have to do.
So, and now I want to kind of bring that around circle to talk about this Fairmont team because, there's no question, Coach Miller, to your point, I mean, he's a tough guy and he's going to bring that energy. Obviously, this year, Fairmont's off to a tough start. They're 0-3. Right. What's that energy like when you're struggling a little bit? When you're winning and you're in some big games, that energy is very contagious, probably very easy for everyone to kind of get in on that. But talk about maybe the first year when you're here, when he's here, you go 1-9. What was that energy like? Was it hard to, meet that energy when you're struggling?
Oh yeah, that was definitely hard. Like I said, there was dudes that didn't really buy into what he was saying. So he was trying to preach it, and like by our senior year, it was like preaching to the choir. But our sophomore year, it was kind of hard because like when we were down, there was kids that just kind of like, I'm not trying to expose anyone, but like they kind of just gave up.
Sure. Yeah, don't name names.
And yeah. But we did not have that going on from our junior year and senior year, and that's what I think is. Coach Miller just looked at me, and whenever we're down, he goes, don't give up, and I never did, and I believed like every game we were going to win.
So when you kind of look at some of the struggles that they're having right now, do you think that maybe a lot of that has to do with it? Is it they just need to buy in? They need that leadership? What do you think is kind of maybe the biggest hurdle that they're facing right now?
The biggest hurdle that they're facing is honestly a lack of experience, in my opinion, because you can tell from week 1 to now week 4, they've definitely improved a lot, and with experience that'll come. But now their defense is pretty good right now. Like they're doing great right now, and I can tell the offense is definitely making strides because I was talking to my dad. He was at the first altar game. He was telling me, man, it was not looking good, but like Coach Miller and then some of the leaders on the offense are getting them together and getting their act together, and I believe as the season goes on, they're definitely going to get better.
Did you get to work with Tank Gant much last year, and what's your assessment of his play so far?
Tank, I didn't really get to work with him much last year. He kind of played a little bit of fullback, a little bit of Z-back as our blocking back. But, so I know him, and I believe he runs very hard. And I believe that at the beginning he was kind of inexperienced too, but now like the cat's coming out, and he's starting to run really hard, and I really appreciate that. And as he gets stronger and faster, he's going to be a threat coming in for sure. And I think that he's filled my role that I had last year. He's done a pretty good job so far.
So this is the first game that you've been back here at Roush Stadium, since you left. How bad is it? How is it wanting to be out there with your teammates?
Oh, man. I'll tell you, even though I'm playing on Saturdays, I miss Friday nights because there's just something about it, man. Like, you come out here, you hear the band playing, you see your friends, your classmates, and your family up in the stands. You're with the kids that you've been with for 4 years, and it's just a different atmosphere altogether. And honestly, I would do anything to play on a Friday night again.
That's awesome. So when you were here, you hear a lot of noise, even when you're winning, from a lot of people talking about the playbook and opening it up and this and that. What's it like in the locker room? Do you guys talk about that? Is that something that you wanted, or did you? I mean, obviously you're getting the ball 30 times a game. You probably kind of liked it.
I'm not complaining, but I was not complaining last year. But we don't really talk about it. We talk about it after if we just crush some team. Last year, like we were talking about, we played Springfield or something like that. Yeah, we beat them, and I don't think we had any passes at all. And then Coach Miller would just make fun of the critics and be like, we didn't have to pass the ball or something like that, because he hears people in the stands like, pass the ball. And it's like, well, if it ain't broke, then don't try to fix it. It works, and I think if they just stick to that, that'll be great.
I want to get you to tell a little bit of a story here, and a lot of people I don't think even really knew that you had the opportunity to do this, but the All-American game that you got to play in last year.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, I'm going to kind of just let you tell the story, because I don't think a lot of our listeners really knew what was going on. We tried to kind of let some people know, but yeah. I just thought it was extraordinary that you had the opportunity, and why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Right, so back in March of last year, I got invited to this combine. down at Paul Brown, and with tons of other kids. And I had the chance to compete, and I got invited to the Super Combine. They liked what I did there, and then I got invited to the game. And the game down in Dallas Cowboy Stadium, it was an experience I will never forget. Just playing with dudes it was basically playing a college game while you're still in high school, and it was amazing. Like in the AT&T Stadium, I scored a touchdown. I scored the first touchdown for our team, and then it was something else. Like I got a ring from it. It was crazy. I'll never forget it.
That sounds awesome. Surreal. Maybe not. It's a little different, but talk about playing with your brother. I know you got to play with him a little bit last year, and then also some growth. You've got to see him, evolve, and you're seeing him be more active this year. So what's that like?
Well, last year I only got to play special teams with him, but I know he's getting stronger. He's getting better. And it was my parents, and it was his goal to be on the field at the same time as me, and I thought that was really admirable. And he sees me going on to play college football, and that's what he wants to do. So he's always constantly working, putting in the extra work that's not on the field and in the off season. And I think that's what's going to get him to the next level. I see him dogging out here already, making a couple tackles, and I think that as he gets older, he's going to be an impact player for the defense.
So, you told me, obviously, being a leader, you're obviously so ingrained, football's in your blood, it just radiates off of you. Is coaching in your future?
So I'll tell you something. Me, Braden, and Ryan and Isaac and all them guys last year, we talked about we're gonna go to college, we're gonna get our degrees and all that, and we all want to coach a team, whether it be Fairmont or anything. We just want to get the band back together, and coach football, high school football, how we think it should be coached. And I think that it should be coached exactly how Coach Miller's doing it right now, because it's working. So that's what we want to do. We want to get the 2019 class back together, and we want to coach and teach these young kids of the future, kind of how to play football and how to play it the right way.
All right, Coach Jesse Deglow, then I need to know. So second half, you're coming out, you're trailing 10-6. They have the ball. What does Fairmont? I want to get your second half prediction, and I want to know, what does Fairmont need to do to get their first victory here tonight?
Second half prediction. So from what I've seen, they've ran the triple option play. I don't really think the power's working for them right now, but if they keep that counter going, and they keep that little pitch out going, and maybe Malik will flash it a little bit and get another long run, we'll see again. But I think the counter's working for them the best right now, and I say they put up 2 more, and I say the defense shuts them out, because I trust those D coordinators, trust Trey, I trust my brother, and the D-line's on fire right now, so I think it's going to be a good second half.
Well, listen, I really appreciate you giving me some time and coming up and talking Fairmont football with us. Sure. I appreciate it.
I love it.
Thank you.